What is up? Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. I'm trying to figure out why I am not live on Instagram. If anybody knows why, I'd be very grateful. It says I'm supposed to be live on Instagram, but apparently I'm not live on Instagram. All right, let's see. Let's do this. Okay, I want to talk about today. Give me a second. All right. I should be live on TikTok. All right. Yo, yo. I am live on multiple different platforms. So, real quick, if you're new to following me, I'm a physical therapist from the Tampa Bay area. I got a clinic where most of my patients have the, like, I failed everything. I call it the story. Been to physical therapist, chiropractor, injections, surgery, acupuncture, massage, meds, repeat. This is what I see in here all day long. Okay. Now, I own a cash-based clinic in Tampa that I have been doing for almost 17 years now. And I'm also an inventor, innovator, published author. If you read my papers, so on my website, weltonmethods.com, WHELTON, weltonmethods.com, I have published papers. I call it root cause of SI joint dysfunction, root cause of sacral torsion shear, root cause of plantar fasciitis, root cause of carpal tunnel syndrome. And what I did was I published those in like 2020 to most of them 2020 to 2023, right? And then a few months ago, I actually emailed the journal, and I'm like, I don't know anything about this stuff. So I was like, how are my papers doing, and that kind of thing. And they actually sent back these metrics, which I pinned it to my social media. And I put those metrics into AI, and I said, what does this mean? Because I don't know anything about journal. I just publish papers, and that's it. I go back to my life. And it said, AI came back and said, ChatGPT, that these are historic, foundational, landmark papers in the field of orthopedics. And they said that the fact that in the last 12 months, not 5 years ago, the last 12 months, that you are getting 13,500 reads when the average is like 800 to 1,000. They said that's off the charts. They said those are some of the most published papers, read papers in the history of orthopedics. That's what AI said. I'm like, really? So, anyways, I created very practical methods. So there's one thing that people always say about me is, what you say, Ryan, is so practical. You take these courses, and this is like an elaborate thing that you have to figure out how to implement into your practice, right? But with me, it's like, no. Like, if you read the SI joint paper, there's 4 exercises. Here's how to evaluate. Here's how to treat. And this is how these people got better. Now you try it. My plantar fasciitis protocol, 3 exercises. Okay. Now, I have been teaching clinical stuff for years. Okay. Now, my thing was going to go dark. Most people know me as this clinical expert guy, right? But what people don't know about me is that I actually have been teaching select PTs and chiros how to open and run a cash-based business, okay? I think insurance is an absolute scam, okay? It is one of the greatest scams, and it's an elaborate one too. I actually well done, well done to this insurance industry for creating this elaborate scam. I think most people, even like non-physical therapists or whatever, medical professionals, just normal people agree that we get scammed every month when we have to pay our insurance. And then when we go to the doctor, it's even more of a scam because then you find out it doesn't cover it. And it's like, what on freaking earth is this? Now, from a medical provider's perspective, people like lay people always hear like how annoyed we are with insurance companies. Let me tell you the straw that broke the camel's back for me. When I decided that I had enough with the insurance industry, I had like I opened in 2009. I had like a hybrid clinic. So I was like half insurance, half half cash pay, whatever. And I was like, so I'm sitting there and I remember it was United Healthcare. Okay. And I'm a clinical expert. So I know, I've published papers on how I get the results that I get, that kind of thing, right? Been teaching courses for 10 years, right? So like, I'm efficient at what I do, like I know what I'm doing. And so I remember that United Healthcare had this form. Maybe they still have it. I don't know because I don't take insurance. But United Healthcare had this form, and it said that you had to have the patient fill it out every 3 visits, right? And I'm like first of all, like I got a whole case. I can't remember what visit these people are on to fill out this stupid form, right? And so you had to have them fill out this form. And if they were getting better too fast, then per their stupid form, if they were getting better too fast, they would cut off the treatment, and you wouldn't know because it took them 90 days to process it, right? But meanwhile, you're treating the patient, and then you couldn't bill the patient for what United was what United decided not to pay for, right? And if they weren't getting better fast enough, then they would cut it off too, right? So here I was, just this guy that came from the heart, and I'm treating, and I'm helping these patients, right? Only to see that this clown, I remember the guy, complete clown, when this guy was cutting off my treatments and I didn't know about it. He was just cutting it off, right? So then I said, like 90 days later, I find out that, oh yeah, the 12 sessions that you spent with Mrs. Jones aren't covered. And by the way, you're not allowed to bill them. I actually called this guy up, this sellout, if you ask me, right? He was a physical therapist. And I'm like, how do you know that my patients are getting better too fast or not getting better? I'm there with them. Like, how on earth do you know? Like you don't know anything. You sit at a desk all day, bro. And well, this is whatever. This is United Healthcare's policy or whatever. And in my head, I'm like, wow, this is a scam. This isn't just a scam. This is a highly sophisticated engineered scam. And when I started to realize the scam of the insurance industry, and then when Obamacare came in and it dropped like reimbursement from like $120 to $150 to $20 to $50 flat rate, no matter what, no matter how long you spent with the patient. And I'm like, what? Sorry, my camera's going dark. And I'm like, what on freaking earth type of scam is this, right? And So that is when I was done. I was done. Patients were like, "Why do I have to fill that out again?" I'm like, "I don't know. Ask your insurance company." And they're mad at me. And I'm like, "This isn't my fault." Like this is the insurance scam industry. And so I decided at that point that I was done. Okay, I was like, I cannot consciously participate in this scam anymore of the insurance industry. So at that point, I decided to go full cash based. Plus I was doing things that insurance companies doesn't cover, but of course I was doing it for free because I, have a big heart and I just wanted people to get better, right? Which is what the insurance companies depend on. So what I was doing at the time, and physical therapists and chiropractic owners, medical owners can relate to this, is with the insurance scam, what I was doing at the time was I had a billing company and I was paying that billing company $14 an hour, but the person's co-payment would be like $40. And then but I would be reimbursed $10. So like the cost that they would reimburse me was $10, right? Or like $50 total, so $10 difference, right? So I was paying a billing company $14 an hour to go after $10 that would take them hours to go after. And I started to realize that not only do these scam artists know this in the insurance industry, that people like me will be like, well, let it go, and then they make another $10. There is a reason why the insurance industry is so profitable, is because they know you need it and they just create this highly sophisticated scam. If you ask me, it's a scam. That is why I left the insurance model. I'm like, I physically can't do this anymore. I cannot treat the way that they're telling you can't bill this code manual. One told me I couldn't bill manual therapy. I'm like, I'm a physical therapist, bro. I use my hands. How are you gonna tell me that I can't bill manual therapy? I'm like, who are these people? They act like they're gods, Like, what do you know about my patients in my clinic? What do you know about them? Nothing. You see some stupid form you had me fill out, and because I'm efficient at what I do, I'm getting penalized, And I'm like, no freaking more. And by the way, $20 to $50, you can get your nails done. We have 7-year education, or 8 years if you're a chiro. 7 years of education to 8 years, okay, of debt, and we're getting paid $20 to $50. I'm like, what an insult and what a ruse they pulled over us. So I see people online in my profession all the time arguing about insurance rates and Medicare this and Medicare that, and we need to increase Medicare rates. And every time I see that, I'm like, that's like arguing with this wall right here. Like APTA needs to do this for us. They need to do that for us. And I'm like, be your own hero. Be your own hero, because that's what I've done my whole life. I'm like, there comes an inflection point where you say, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I can't deal with this anymore. And what I decided to do is drop it all. Okay. And I created a business model. I created my own business model and I inverted it. So in this industry, in medicine, most people don't realize this. In medicine, you get penalized if you're good at your job. You get penalized. You cannot, you get paid, like, let's say you get paid $50 or $20, right? Cigna was trying to charge one of my friends in Central Florida's clinics $20 co-payment. That's it. That's what the person had to pay. That's what they were making as DPTs or chiros too. Like, what? So in this industry, if you are good at what you do, you get penalized. You do not get to, drag out the treatment for 3-6 months to get someone with back pain better, right? But I figured out how to do it, like I published in my papers in those cases, usually in about 5 to 8 weeks, generally speaking. In about 5 to 8 weeks, the chronic pain, the failed everything population as seen in my published papers. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, yeah, no, I need to flip this model on its head. I'm like, this is unsustainable. I wasn't sleeping at night, dealing with the insurance companies. And I was like, I'm done. I am done. I am done with this, and I'm going to figure out a different way. So I flipped the model on its head. And I believe that if I'm efficient at what I do, like a lawyer that wins all their cases type thing, right? So if you're a lawyer that wins all your cases, they charge like $1,000 an hour or more, right? But if you're a terrible lawyer, like you can't charge that, you know? Like, so like, do you see what I'm saying? But in medicine, we're all like, you know, like it's based on years of experience. Well, I can show you physical therapist assistants that I trained with 2 years of education that can run circles around DPTs. Like I literally, right off the top of my head, I can show you them. Or that just graduated like a few years ago, you know? So like, that's stupid too, if you ask me. It should be based on your results, okay? But insurance companies don't care. You just keep billing them, more visits, you get paid more, right? No one ever in my entire career, before I opened a business, no one ever in my entire career had ever told me, hey, Ryan, you need to get better results. They always just told me I had to bill more. It was bill more, bill this code with Medicare, bill this code with, United Healthcare, whatever, we get paid more, right? And I'm like, this is wrong. This whole system is wrong, And I'm like, why am I getting paid the same as this person down the road when I'm getting like, crazy results compared to them? Like, what kind of system is this? This is like social communism, like we all get paid the same, I'm like, no, I refuse to participate. This is a scam, and I refuse to participate in scams. And I jumped ship and I created my own model. I created a model that I get reimbursed for my skill set. So what I am doing now, so everybody knows me as the clinical expert guy. My published papers, all my courses, and all that stuff, right? But what people don't know about me is that I have been helping on the DL. I have been helping select physical therapists and chiropractors around the country open and run cash-based businesses. Okay, so these people were in the burnout kind of stage, they start to count the money that the owner's making, and like, come on, man, like I'm doing all the work type thing, right? And then they're like, okay, I need to do this on my own. But like, when I started in business, I didn't have the slightest freaking clue what I was doing. I didn't have the slightest clue what I was doing. And I needed direction, right? So you can't do this on your own, honestly. It's not something you can just wing it, you have to, you need guidance. Like, this is kind of complex, setting up a clinic, okay? A cash-based clinic, okay? So I've taken people that were working a 9 to 5, seeing ridiculous amounts of patients a day, unhappy, and wanted someone to teach them how to open and run a cash-based clinic so they can get out of the insurance scam. And I said, okay, finally I said, I will do that. I will help you. So I've helped these people. I can think of 2 off the top of my head that refuse to work 40 hours a week. They don't work on purpose. That they could do it. They don't want to do it. And the reason why is because they're making more working 4 days a week or 2 to 3 days a week than they were 40 hours a week. So like, good for you. One is a new kid, like, wants to spend time with the kid type thing. Good for you, man. So if you want out of this rat race, okay, I'm going to light the path and show you the way of what I've done with them. Okay. And you can do that by going to my school group where I talk about this. There's going to be limited spots. I will be teaching. I will be taking enrollments to this, but there's limited spots. I can't take everybody. I'm not taking a massive amount of people. And I am going to give you everything, okay? I'm going to give you financial stuff. I'm going to teach you how to market. I'm going to give you my marketing company. We're going to target, I'm going to show you, we're going to target the chronic pain population, okay? It's not scary. This is like autopilot for me at this point, and I will show you how I made it autopilot for me, you know, in the clinical part of it, okay? And what I am going to do is fill this gap, okay? So everybody, like including me, like I came up with my own method on how to open and run a cash-based clinic, a successful one, very successful one. And I work when I want. You know, if I don't need to work, I don't. If I want to take time off and go to my kids' hockey practice, then I take time off. Whatever, you know. But I'm also going to be teaching AI integration, where they chase leads down at night while you sleep. I am going to be teaching people how to talk to patients, how to okay. In this industry, this coaching industry, coaches are a dime a dozen, right? So everybody's got sales techniques, right? They all teach sales techniques. I see it all the time online. Everybody's teaching sales techniques. Do you want to know what my sales techniques are? Number one, I am honest. And number two, I get the person out of pain with my clinical skills. I get the person out of pain, and then I show them how I did it and what was wrong. And that person says, this guy knows what he's doing. I'm sitting here without pain right now for the first time in 20 years or whatever. And then they say, I'm signing up with this guy. Okay? So that is what I'm doing. Okay? So go to weltonmethods.com. Go to the drop down, I think, courses. weltonmethods.com. Go to become a VIP member. Okay. When you become a VIP member, it'll take you to a free school group. Okay. Where I'm posting clinical teachings. Okay. So you'll learn the clinical aspect in that free school group. And then I'm transitioning to 2 different tracks. So if you are an entrepreneur or like me who wanted to be, or just tired of the scam of insurance, right? If you are an entrepreneur and you want to learn how to open and run a cash-based business and the clinical part. No one's talking about better results. Everybody's just telling everybody how to charge more, right? No one's talking about how to get better results, which is what the patients are signing up with you for to begin with. If you go to, you know, if you go to somebody and you pay them all kinds of money and, you know, more than the average, you know, outside of insurance type thing, and they don't help you, like nobody thinks you're smart anymore. You know, you can have all the tricks, the sales tricks to manipulate people's brains into buying into you, right? But if you don't get the patient better, number one, they're pissed. Number two, they leave bad reviews, and they sometimes will ask you for their money back. So, anyways, I have that. I have the clinical and entrepreneurial track. Okay, limited spots. And then I also have the clinical track. So if you don't want to work for anybody, if you do, you know, just like whatever, I like my boss, I'm not an entrepreneur, good for you. What I'm going to do is teach just the clinical part, okay? And in live, in groups with Q&A, and you get all my courses, okay? It is a no-brainer just based off of my courses and the massive discount. You get it, pays for itself. In the entrepreneurial clinical part, if I can get you one patient a month, you paid for the mentorship, okay? And you get all my courses, including my business course, okay? It's literally a no-brainer, and there's limited spots, okay? I can't take everybody, okay? So go to weltonmethods.com, WHELTON, methods.com. Go to become a VIP member in the drop-down menu, and sign up there for my school group, and I will be announcing in there the people that, you know, when enrollment is open, okay? And we will work together. We'll have weekly meetings on how to open and run clinic. I will give you goals, and we will meet and we will do it together, We will literally walk together on this path. Okay, I've been in business almost 17 years. I think I've seen it all, as much as you can see in a cash-based clinic. All right, so if you're tired of the insurance scam, if you're burnt out, if you're being abused at work and seeing too many patients an hour, like so many of our colleagues, then jump ship. I'll walk with you. I'll light the path and show you the way like I've done to other people. Okay, that's that.